Welcome back. You're watching Newslink with me, Ropwa Madzena, and the SACP is pressing on with calls for an inquest into the killing of Chris Hani 30 years ago. The struggle stalwart was assassinated at his home in Dawn Park in 1993. Clive Lewis and Janusz Walus were arrested for that murder. The party is joining its alliance partners to remember the man who would have been president. eNCA's Manqoba Mchunu is there and joins us for the very latest. A very good afternoon, good morning to you rather, Manqoba Mchunu. And it's a bittersweet kind of commemoration because we celebrate the life that was, but we also remember the brutal and senseless killing of who would have been at some point the president of the SACP.
Well, certainly, Ropua, and of course it was on this exact day, 30 years ago, where the General Secretary of the SACP, the then General Secretary of the SACP, Chris Hani, was gunned down around about 10:20 outside his home in Dawn Park. And of course we all remember those visuals of the body being taken out of his home and being taken into a mortuary van. And of course it was one of the brutal murders that really affected the country. We know that there were fears of a possible war here inside the country, civil war due to the killing or assassination of Chris Hani. And of course today is a day where we're going to reflect on the life and what he really stood for. But of course the SACP commemorating his death here today at the cemetery, and of course there will be delivering the keynote address later on, but also expecting the Deputy President of the country to also deliver a message from government as far as this is concerned. But just to speak further about this, I'm now joined by the General Secretary of the SACP, Solima Paile, just to get a sense of what today is all about. Thank you very much, GS, for your time. Let's start here. Of course, today is the 30th commemoration of this day. What does it mean to the South African of today?
Well, it's a time to reflect on the progress we've made in our liberation struggle, the difficulties we've faced, the compromises that were made, the rampant capitalism that continues to exploit our people today, creating more poverty, unemployment, as well as deepening inequalities, both from race, class and gender terms. So in other words, we've reached a point in our revolution where we've stagnated. We've reached a point of interregnum, both in terms of the economy as well as in politics. So that means we've reached a void where the movement or the liberation struggle is unable to move forward at the pace that is required of development in society. So these are the issues that we need to reflect on and tackle head on: the exploitative capitalist system, which is the main source of economic poverty and unemployment and many other social ills that we find ourselves in as a country. Because the majority of the people are competing for meager resources when the huge resources remains dominantly in the hands of big capital that doesn't want to share with the people. So we need policy change from government, economic policy change that tackles these problems head on. And in that regard, therefore, we cannot continue with the current economic system that has shown despicable failures over the years. So that is the period that when we reflect on what Comrade Chris Hani stood for, because in his basic words about what socialism is and what the liberation struggle is about, was about basic services to the people: water, sanitation, education, health, food, all those basic things. Today the majority of the people cannot afford basic foodstuffs. We have a crisis of livings among the working people.
And let's talk about, of course, what the SACP has been calling for as far as investigations are concerned. You say that you want this matter to be put to bed once and for all, the assassination of Chris Hani. And I know that you've also started a petition as the party.
Yes, we have started an online petition available on our website. Every other person can join that and sign off the petition. The issue is that we have been raising the matter of inquest for the matter of Comrade Chris Hani for many years. It's not a new issue, but government has not ever followed this. We have placed it in all officialdom and it has not happened. So we felt that maybe this time let's do a petition, and having met the requirement of the petition, we'll submit it to the relevant ministry, and they will then be forced to actually do the investigation. Because, as you know, his murderers, the assassinators, were released on parole by our courts, even though they did not tell the truth. And this was the basis why we have opposed over the years their release from prison, on the basis that they could not tell the truth. The TRC refused to give them amnesty on the basis that they could not tell the whole truth. So we didn't understand the legal framework that guarantees that. Just last week, again, the murderer of JFK in the US was denied parole. JFK was killed 1961. So it is this kind of things that I think are disconcerting to us. That is why we felt that perhaps this time a petition will lead this matter to rest once and for all.
And in terms of, what you want government to do now, you know that you're collecting about several of those signatures. I think the last count was about 20,000 signatures so far. What is it that you want government to do?
No, to do an investigation, because there were many other things, as you know, about these killers. For instance, the weapon that they use, apparently, according to the court records, they procured it or they got it from the then South African Defence Force armory. Who supplied it from the armory? Those kind of basic things. The silencer. Who supplied it? All of those basic nitty-gritties were not taken into account throughout. That is why we feel that an inquest will go deeper into investigation and will ultimately find the truth, so that also the family can heal and understand and know the truth rather than remain in general speculation, as well as the Communist Party itself.
And let's talk about the state of the tripartite alliance. Of course, you also had your central executive meeting that was held, where you also did not rule out the possibility of the SACP going at it alone during the 2024 elections. Is this still on the table?
Well, the matter is on the table with respect to the alliance. We have said our preferred modality. We're consulting our structures over the last 3-4 weeks across the country, taking forward the 15th Congress resolution on reconfiguration of the alliance, as well as considering electoral modalities. So from the response from our structures, they said the first thing is that we prefer the framework within the alliance. But this must be a changed alliance, what we call reconfiguration. It simply means an alliance that operates differently. So, and we have put now conditions on what this alliance will be. Top of these conditions is an economic program to respond to the living conditions of the poor and the working class in our country. At the moment, we have no control of economic policy. It's literally dictated by the IMF, the World Bank, the OECD countries, the rating agencies, all of those institutions, rather than us even as a country. They determine where to put our money, even where to allocate our budgets. In other words, they control fiscal budgetary framework. So, although it's presented by a minister in our case, but you can see it's not an independent application or presentation of a budget. It's a budget that is heavily influenced by neoliberal economic outlook that doesn't respond to the economic conditions of the people in the country. So that is why we need, as part of that reconfiguration, a comprehensive understanding of what we need to tackle collectively in the economy, so that we take full responsibility for all of this. At the moment, we take responsibility for both successes and failures, and yet we're not controlling the economic policy. That's one of the issues. Secondly is that we will want comrades in the Communist Party when they go onto the electoral platform of the ANC, because at the moment, as you know, we participate in the election through the ANC. So whatever the behavior and conduct of the ANC affect us, and how they deal with it continues to affect us. So we have said, even if we go through a reconfigured alliance through the ANC on the ballot, there must be changes. For instance, independent party voice in legislatures. Sometimes we've got even worse scoundrel of political leaders in parliament insulting the Communist Party. No one responds on our behalf. because we have no voice, independent voice, even within the ANC. The ANC prioritizes its own approaches, can't even defend its ally in parliament. So we want such kind of things to come to an end. That is why across all legislatures and councils, we want independent voice of communists within the preferred process of reconfiguration, and including in the setup of these committees themselves, whether it's the setting up of cabinets, provincial executives, mayoral committees. We want our comrades to participate there, effectively representing the Communist Party and the working class. So that's the preferred model of the reconfiguration of the alliance. But there are many other issues that comes out in that regard, which we'll now be debating and discussing with our comrades in the alliance. And we have said, if that modality it's not possible, at least from the other components of the alliance is concerned, we will opt for the new modality, the other modality, which is the building of a popular left front. In other words, we will go onto the ballot outside the framework of the alliance.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's hold it there for now. That was the General Secretary of the SACP, just giving us a sense of what today is all about. Of course, it's expected to start around about 10 o'clock this morning, and we are expecting, of course, those speeches by the various political formations that are here. The ANC is also here. COSATU is also here. They are part of this function that will be taking place here today, where we'll be commemorating the 30 years since Chris Hani's killing here in Ekurhuleni.
Thank you very much for that, Manqoba Mchunu, and for that interview with Solly Mapaila there of the SACP. Of course, he will be at the event throughout the afternoon and bring us the very latest developments on those commemorative events taking place. Still to come.